Hey folks, Jonathan here. I've got the exhaust back off. I'm going to go ahead and do some welding on it and some grinding and see what it looks like. I don't think it's going to look as bad as it looks with the, the weld still there in the cuts. So we're going to go ahead and weld it all up, grind it a little bit, polish it, and put it back on and see what it looks like. I think it's going to turn out just fine. And the reason I say that's because where I'm going to put them pedals at and stuff, that lower bin's going to be, obscured or hidden, and so I don't think it'll be any issues. So I'm going to get to work to welding it and grinding it, and I'll show you when I get it finished up. Okay, we've got the exhaust back on, and I don't know, we'll just keep ciphering on it. How about that? But we're going to go ahead and do some pedals now, or not pedals, because it's not a bicycle, but we're going to do some pegs. But we are going to do pedals, or I'm not saying I'm going to, but I'm thinking about it. I'm going to show you here. Okay, what I've got is these. They're actually antique. A set of pedals, and I think these are NOS. I don't think they've ever been on a bike. They've just laid around. They got the strap on them, the leather strap. I can take that off. That's not a big issue. The bolts slide out. But what I thought about doing was actually using these 4 pegs, making it where they can't turn, and actually running them. And I just think they would be neat. And if we don't like it, we can always take it apart and start over. It don't matter. But now, pipe wise, I still don't know if I'm going to run it or not, or if I'm going to cut it somewhere and run it. But it's not completely finished. It's smooth as can be now, but it needs some more. It would need hand filed and then polished. So it wouldn't take much to have it really, really nice. And I know some people said something about wrapping it. I don't like wrapping them, and I just don't like wrapping them because I feel like it hides your fabrication. And I guess if I left the welds rough or something like that, it'd be okay to wrap it to hide everything. But I don't want to hide any of the fabrication work on it. And not showing off or nothing, but I mean just for myself. I just like it. Like the raw steel, and we can paint it or coat it or do something with it. We'll figure it out. But let me see if I can figure out a way of mounting some pegs on this thing, and we'll go from there. Okay folks, working on the pegs here, or what I'm trying to decide what I'm going to do for the pegs. And I was going to use them pedals, and I decided that I think I just want to use these pieces, but we've got to figure out how we're going to go about it. I'm not sure yet, but anyway, we're going to use probably this. This is an old, I don't know, wagon axle or an old axle off of something. It's got a square nut on the end, and this was probably, I'd say, 1800s, early 1900s. But I was looking at this, and darn if I don't think it's forge welded. This is 2 pieces, and it looks like they cut it at an angle and put them together and possibly forged weld this thing together. I'm going to clean this up with a wire brush just to look at it. I was trying to decide, between round and square. The pads I'm going to put on the pegs are going to be square, so I figured a square would look better. So we may use this, but now this tapers on both sides. So this would have to be our center. So we're going to actually leave this forging on there, and I figure if it'll hold up for an axle, it will hold up for a set of pegs. Kind of neat. Anyway, let me see. Painted my son's feet for his club. Got them done, and kind of crazy. One of them looked like it was so much nicer than the others, like it was a lot better casting. And then I got to looking really hard. It don't match. You can see the leaves at the top. So we've got one oddball, which is the same size, so we can put it on the other side where you can't see it. But it makes me wonder, the story behind that, whether that happened, from the factory, or something, maybe they lost one or broke one over the years. But anyway, I thought that was pretty neat. But I wish they would all look like that. That's to me a lot nicer design than these other ones. But we'll hide it in the back. I mean, you could mix match them on the side that you see. It wouldn't be too bad, but they come out really nice. That's a hammered paint. Looks good. So we're gonna get that tub in there hopefully today. I'm not gonna do, you know, put this on my videos, but my son's been doing updates on the house, and he's back to, you know, doing some videos. So I know a lot of you, or some of you, subscribe to him, and anybody that wants to subscribe to him and hasn't, I'm going to put a link in the description where you can go check it out. You know, I'm in quite a few of the videos helping him out, trying to get his house finished up. So we're getting close. We're hoping to have him in before the first of the year. You know, it's getting kind of tight right now. You know, finding time to work on it, him finding time to work on it, you know, it's just it's pretty hard. But anyway, back on the bike. Okay folks, got it cleaned up a little bit. Now, I don't know if it's forge welded or not. I was looking at it from the side here and it looked so good and smooth, and I thought, well, maybe this is marks where they tapered this down, and that's just how far they went. But then when I flipped it, you can see it's rounded. And I don't think if it was tapering it down that it would have been rounded like that perfectly on both sides. And then I laid it down and it's flat like that, but when you lay it the other way, it's got some rocking to it. So it's not perfectly straight across there. I think it's forge welded, and I'm really impressed if it is. They, you know, I don't know how to forge weld. I've never done a lot of forging, so I don't know how it would have been done, but if they've welded that together, forge welding, of course, probably before welders were even, you know, thought about or used, they done a heck of a job. Okay, so I'm playing with this piece of metal a little bit, trying to see where I want it location wise. Directly center under the engine is best. I tried it up farther and I just didn't like it. Didn't feel right, you know, especially if you got a brake to push. So this is perfect, just centered under the engine. You know, I don't recall ever seeing a motorcycle that didn't have folding pegs on it. So I decided that I'd do a little research, and that was a big mistake because it's like opening up a can of worms. It looks like that the debate over solid pegs over folding pegs is like the debate over Coke and Pepsi or Ford and Chevy. You know, everybody's got their opinion on that, so I just wanted to make sure there was no major reason why I couldn't run it as a solid peg, because I didn't want to run folding pegs, and you know, I don't, like I said, don't plan on running it a bunch, so it's not that big of an issue, and it's definitely not going off-roading. So anyway, we'll keep at it. I just cut each end of that so I could slide it through, and I've got to get a distance and length and cut, and I'm going to do a little machining, and I think I'm going to put these in on top of each other, built some brackets to put these on. And I looked at it, you know, with them on each side, and it just don't look right. It almost looks like a bicycle pedal, which is what I'm trying to get away from, because I thought about using just the pedal to begin with, but I just didn't like the looks of it. So anyway, so we'll probably machine a little bit, or maybe just some little brackets on each end, and then these are solid except for the hole through them, and we'll run a bolt through each one of them to hold them on, and I think that would work fine. Welding 2 tabs up and then 2 tabs down to bolt onto the frame. All right, folks, we're back on the foot pegs, and everything has changed. Every time I do something, I set it up there and I just don't like it. So anyway, here's where we're at now. Got a piece of 1-inch thick wall tubing, our pedal pieces out of our bicycle pedals, and like I said, these are brand new. They'll clean up really good. We're going to build 2 brackets, one that'll bolt on that side, weld onto our crossbar, and another one here. Now what I done was I went back, slide it back in, went back 3 inches on this and cut it and tapered it, and we'll get it all together and welded and ground. And I think that's what we're going to end up living with. I actually thought about and wanted, you've seen some pedals that have got sort of a come back into a point. I thought about doing that on this, building a piece that, you know, the plate that welded on the bottom here and bolted through the pedal to come back to a point. And then I got to thinking about if I was on this thing and I put my feet down and my shin went into that little sharp spot, like a little, you know, wing sticking out, it probably wouldn't feel good. So I nixed that idea. So I don't know, you know, it's sometimes you run into things that you just can't get the way that you want them. The brake pedal can come in and mount on the bottom of this. I'm probably not going to run the master cylinder on this side. I'm going to run it on the other side. But there's a couple reasons for this. I can make room for it. I mean, it wouldn't be that big an issue to put it here, run some linkage, whatever. But this single pipe running across to me looks kind of bare, just sticking out there. So if I put the pedal on it and then I ran a rod down beside it, it would thicken it up and make it look like a more mass there. And then we've got room at the front on the left side to run the master cylinder, and we'll just run a piece of a linkage to it and run the line up that side. I mean, it's, you know, not a big issue. Just you put it anywhere we want as long as we've got, you know, can run linkage to it. So anyway, that's probably what I'm going to do. And just because I want to try to make this look like it's got a little more mass to it. So without, you know, putting a big wide piece in it or nothing like that. And I've tried a lot of things off camera and on camera, and, you know, I've showed a few there. That piece I was going to use with the forge weld, I was going to use it, but I didn't like the surface of it. You know, I thought about it. I said, well, it would look good, but then I looked at everything else on the bike and nothing else is like that. So I just decided against that. The pedals just looked too much. You can just tell they was bicycle pedals. I mean, it just didn't, that wasn't, you know, it was a good idea and a good thought. I liked the design of it, and it would be good on the feet, but when I actually went to do it, it just didn't turn out like I want. But, you know, I'm leaving this stuff in here because I want people to see that, you know, you don't just jump on something and you automatically know everything it needs, and you know, you just design it and you're done and that's it. I mean, I personally, I think anybody can do this if you just try. You know, you're gonna mess up a few times, just like I've messed up a few times, and sometimes you're just gonna have to change your ideas and go a little different way, and that's just the way it is. And I'm happy with the exhaust. I'm not going to worry about, you know, the pipe, because we're going to have, if we run this rod through, you know, it's going to, basically this pipe is contoured forward. It's actually going to look like it was made that way. You know, well, it was made that way, but made, you know, or I designed it that way, even though I didn't. So yeah, I think it's going to work good. So I'm just going to keep on this, and we're going to get the plates made, get the other end of this done, and get it welded up and ground and cleaned up, and then we'll go from there and see what it looks like. Okay, folks, finally got something halfway figured out on this thing. This has been a long road on this these foot pegs. I've just got this slid in, but this is what we've got. As you can see, it's just two plates. This one's, you know, notched and welded on. That one's welded on the end. And used the original bolts for the pedals and just ran them through and cleaned up the pipe and everything. So that's going to be it. That'll work good. Shouldn't have any issues. And then, you know, we'll get the two brackets made to bolt it on the frame, get it good and level and straight where we want it, and then we'll maybe get started on the brake pedal. Anyway, I appreciate everybody watching, and we'll keep rolling on it. Till next time, bye.